Koguva is an ethnological village with a history that begins in 1532. The villages of Muhu have been building their houses like this for centuries. That's interesting.
Village and all the buildings here were taken under the state protection in the 60s actually.
At one time on Muhu, all the farm villages look like this. Baking bread in that huge honker of an old stove.
23 persons had to be here in the winter time, the whole day longer. It was very crowded here. The room was a bit all the other Estonian peasants were in serfdom up to the early 19th century, but this village were freeholders.
This document shows that they were freeholders, owned their own land, and not serfs.
And the picture that is from our eye. And it's a typical family because it has the richly decorated apron, and the head cover is also bridal.
Typical kind of embroidery that was used just here on Muhu, and these are called wedding blankets.
I don't know which dye actually was this orange they started to use in the end of the 19th century.
And a little bit of humor. Muhu is so completely flat, like Kansas, that they call a big rock a mountain. That's a mountain. This is a mountain. She called this the smuggler's cellar because what they would do is they would smuggle in salt from Finland to evade the taxes. And since they were fishermen and farmers, they used lots of salt to dry their fish. Just hide everything underneath. They'd move in from the big house into the small house during the summertime because there were no chimneys in those days. So whenever they cooked, all the smoke would be inside the big house. It was used to store the potatoes. And Patty said whenever she asked her mother, who was born in Lithuania, when she was born, her mother would say,
when they planted the potatoes.
This was your little sink to clean your dishes. And instead of water, they filled it with sand. Your dishes were wood, so you just put it in, scrub it out with sand, wipe it off, and you were all set for your next meal. The summer kitchen was also used as a brewery in those days because it was difficult to get good beer. Nice little oven. I really like the little mossy bits in the thatch. Muhu Island is on a limestone island. But what's interesting is that during the glacial age, the glaciers deposited all these granite stones, and actually they were part of Sweden. The ground is extremely rocky, filled with all this. So the local farmers would all build in a cluster because it could take them 3 summers to dig one well. So at least if they were all together, they could all share in that one well that was in the courtyard back there. The boats were so important to these fishermen. The soil was way, way too difficult for agriculture. And when the boat was no longer good for the sea, they would just prop them up on their walls. And when the boat finally disintegrates, then they burn them in the fireplace. This is the monument to the writer, and whose name I cannot pronounce, of course. And what I find interesting is somebody had stolen the seagull, so they replaced the seagull. Somebody else broke off one of the fingers, and they replaced the finger with one from a statue of Lenin. Said Lenin had plenty of fingers.